Today we are at the conference called Test Istanbul, and now we have together with Facebook Kapasite engineer Goranka Bjedov. Hello, Goranka.
Hello.
Could you please introduce yourself and how did you decide working as a Kapasite engineer?
Well, first, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. My name is Goranka Bjedov, and I am Facebook's Kapasite engineer. I guess I didn't really decide to work as a capacity engineer. I sort of fell into it. I was a performance engineer for the longest time, and when I got hired at Facebook, part of the interview process and the job position was, okay, you know performance, you will have to learn capacity, because we are looking for people who will be able to do both. And so over the last 4.5 years, I've had the opportunity to learn a lot more about the capacity work, and I've kind of, over that time, become a capacity engineer in addition to being a performance person.
Mm-hmm. And what are the main difficulties working as a capacity engineer?
It is complexity. Complexity in today's world, and especially when you're operating at Facebook scale, it basically means that nothing you can buy in the store, and there is no book that is written for a use case like ours. And so you are always discovering new things on the job. You have to be able to react very quickly. All of the people on my team, and I'm not the manager, I'm just one of the engineers, but all of us have to be able to very quickly figure out what the problem is. On some level, we are almost like detectives, trying to figure out what is going on and then decide what is the right solution. But complexity is always the biggest problem, and things are getting more and more complicated every day.
Mm-hmm. And as we all know that in the world there are 1 billion Facebook users.
Yes.
And how can you manage this capacity?
So we are, in some respects, we are very lucky. Luckily, not all 1 billion of our users come from exactly the same place and the same time zone. And so we are lucky because those users come online and use Facebook at different times, which makes it a little bit easier for us to manage our traffic and our load. Our peak tends to be at the time when Europe is coming home from work and the east coast of the United States is coming up, and it's becoming flatter and flatter as time goes on, as there is more users coming on in Asia, as there is more users, even actually in South America and so on. And so one of the things that we do know is going to become a lot more complex. Our next 10-year plan, as Mark has decreed, is to bring the next 2 to 3 billion users online. And so we are doing a lot of work with connectivity labs on basically providing internet to the places that it's never been provided before. So for example, here in Turkey, because we have a large user base, we know that pretty much everybody has access to internet. And you all have very good access to internet, but there are countries where people barely even know what internet is. And so what we want to do is make sure that people everywhere in the world get access to the information and can be connected to other people in the world. So that is probably the biggest challenge that we have to solve in the next 10 years, according to Mark. And he's the boss, so...
Yeah, and hopefully.
I think it is one of the reasons why I think a lot of my colleagues and friends are excited to work at Facebook is because there are business aspects of it, but there is also these humanitarian aspects. We see that when people have access to information, their lives improve. And, being able to work on something like that is very exciting. So.
Definitely. And in some circumstances, Facebook use increases from time to time drastically.
Yes.
For example, during your talk, you gave a football match example.
Yes.
And how do these overload access to Facebook affect your business? And what are your precautions and solutions for this problem?
So we have these world events. Facebook truly is an international company. I mean, we happen to be the headquarters in basically California, Menlo Park in the United States, but we have offices all around the world. And so what people don't realize is that there are these very global events that can impact maybe 1 billion people. For example, a cricket match between India and Pakistan, which to majority of people in the United States doesn't mean all that much, but it's impacting more than 1 billion people, and we will feel it on Facebook. So we have to prepare for those kinds of events. We need to understand what exactly is going to happen, and you can't always, you don't know ahead of time, you can't be always on top of the things. So for some things, let's say natural disasters, you usually have a little bit of warning ahead of time, and we really plan and prepare for those. So if we know that there is a bad weather pattern coming in certain area, there are certain things we can do to make sure that we shore up our resources. We can redirect traffic, for example. We can free up additional or add more capacity into those areas to provide during that time. But there are other things. So for example, you can do that with typhoons, you can do that with hurricanes, you can do that with things that are relatively well understood and predictable. With something like earthquake, on the other hand, you really don't have a warning ahead of time. And when I was in New Zealand at a conference, people in Christchurch were actually telling me how they used Facebook to organize right after the earthquakes. They were actually sending students to the right places through Facebook on where to access anything, because Facebook was up and all of the local infrastructure was down. And so you look at those kinds of things and you realize, first of all, we always have excess capacity available. We always plan for example, one of our complete regions being down. That is beyond, that is non-negotiable. We always have to have excess capacity. But even if something happens, let's say a region goes down, maybe somebody cut the cables. There was a hurricane, all of the cables have been cut, and now part of our capacity is completely stranded, we can't reach it. The rest of the zones and all of the people would basically go into the position where we will now handle things from the priority queue. So we will potentially, if we have to, we will degrade certain operations of Facebook, because there are certain things that are very important. There are others that are not. So to give you an example, during Hurricane Sandy, which was I think in the fall of 2013, the US government actually told people that we know the hurricane is coming, please do not use phones. Instead, update your status on Facebook. Now, when we heard that, you can only imagine the pressure that puts that on the company, on all of us in infrastructure team, where basically the US government is saying, like, please don't overload the emergency services, so the phone lines need to be clear so that the 911, the police, the fire department, the medical emergencies can come to people. Instead, do all of this on Facebook. Well, there is no question that we have to be up at that point in time. And so we do everything possible to make sure that there is enough extra capacity that we cannot come down. And that's actually a part of my team's job. We have to plan for these things ahead of time. We have to make sure. One of the abilities that we always have is to quickly shift capacity, to take certain machines from one service and move it to another. And maybe during that time, a very simple example, if, for example, I needed a lot of capacity, I can take everything I need, let's say, and stop serving ads and say, we as a company will take a financial hit, but we will do what is the right for the people of the area and for the country, and basically help in this emergency case. And so we do have those possibilities, and we can do that because of all the monitoring and all of the work that the whole team has done. I mean, infrastructure is a very large team at Facebook.
And it's a very, very important.
Absolutely. We like... Infrastructure is a very interesting team wherever you work on. It's typically more seasoned, more experienced engineers. Some of us are jaded. Usually you have to have a good sense of humor and you have to be able to take jokes. But overall, when it comes to events like any kind of emergency, that is the time when we all focus and we just get the work done. And I never have any fear that something bad's going to happen, because I look at the people around me, I look at the team, and I just know, like, it may be hard, but we'll figure it out. We'll get it done. Perfect.
And is there anything that you would like to add?
Well, just to say thank you to all of our Turkish users. And, please continue letting us know what are the things we can do to make the experience and the product better for you. We appreciate all of your dedication. And, thank you on behalf of Facebook and my own personal behalf.
Thank you very much, and enjoy your visit, and we love Facebook.
Thank you so much. Thank you.